Greetings and bienvenue, MITZU. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Close call stories, like near-death experiences or something. A lot of reports of a killer a while ago in my area. Driving home from my parents' house late one night in the same area. See a van on the side of the road. Flashing light coming from inside. Stop for a second. The door opens. A man comes out, gesturing to me to do the same. Yeah, nope. .png. Drive away. It wasn't until later that I hear the same van has been found with bodies inside.
B10. At ski resort with parents and co-workers of my dad. Sliding contest for the kids, fairly steep slope obviously meant for skiing. Not really a sliding kind of kid, but what the hell doesn't kill you, right? Get on a snowmobile and pick up speed at an incredible rate down the slope. Everyone else throws themselves off eventually, as it's pretty much impossible to brake. Not me. Spinning uncontrollably. Reach the bottom of the slope, keep speeding, and miss a shed by a couple of meters. Barely missed a snow scooter parked by the shed. Travel another 30 meters or so before coming to a halt by plunging headfirst into a snow pit. Get stuck. Suddenly darkness, presumably passed out from lack of oxygen. I woke up at the hotel later and apparently Dad pulled me out. I would probably be pretty much fucked had I smacked into that shed, or at my pace. Even the scooter would have done it. Also B7 or 8, playing by the road outside of our house. Guy drives up, stops, engages me in conversation. Asks me to check whether his taillights, then front lights, then turn signals are working. Says I should get in his car so we could go get some ice cream. I decline. He insists, opens his door. I assume he was about to get out at this point. Dad comes out, shouts at the dude. He speeds off.
Be 7 years old. Up at our cottage with my grandparents, brother, and cousin. Have nothing to eat for dinner. My grandpa and I go and get some pizzas in the next town over, which is a couple miles away. Big highway separating the roads to the two cities. We make it to the pizza place in one piece. Pick up our pizzas, and on our way back to the cottage, get to the intersection with the highway. Green light, so we make our way across. Two assholes coming off the highway decide to blow the red light. Both cars hit us. Van gets T-boned and hit head-on. We spin out into a ditch. The whole back end of our van is totaled, along with the front, and the sides of the back are caved in. The other two cars were totaled. Luckily, everyone survives. I end up with an open wound on my neck and I get treated. My grandpa had a gash on his forehead. We talked with the police, and the police said I would have died if I were in the back seat of the car. The officer said he would have written up a ticket for me being in the front seat of the car at only 7, but it saved my life. We also found out one of the people who hit us was an off-duty police officer from the county over. We had gotten picked up by our neighbors who happened to be passing along and saw us, and they brought us back to our cottage. We never had access to a phone that entire time, so our family back at the cottage never knew why we were absent for so long. My grandfather and I came back with the mangled pizza, and we had explained the horrors of that event. This event has scarred me for life, and as a result, I have a hard time driving around busy intersections. Driver's training was a terrible experience for me growing up.
I was in 8th grade and I was riding my girlfriend's bus. When I boarded the bus driver gave me a mean look and said, "This is the last time you're gonna be riding this bus. I see you running across the street." I rolled my eyes and went to the back with my girlfriend. The driver starts to pull the bus out, but really fast, swinging around the circle in front of the school. I and others started laughing, making fun of her, saying, "This is not Need for Speed, lady." Then when she drove into traffic towards the elementary school across the street, we knew we were in deep shit. Bam! We soared over the hill and it threw everyone around the bus. By God, it was so surreal crashing into a building. Everyone got up and started to panic with no way out. I kept screaming with all my heart, "Check on the driver." Luckily, a guy busted out the back window and we got out. I helped a girl out who busted her head on the window, and we had administrators from the high school walking nonchalantly and telling us to go inside the building. That's when I almost passed out. The adrenaline wore off and my neck was throbbing. I remembered being carried by people crying because of the pain and because my PE teacher saw me in this state. All of the hurt people were put into a conference room and we all had to fill out tags. And it hit me. My dad wasn't going to show up and help me. My dad was in Afghanistan. My mother was working. Every single person in that room started crying, including the goths. Luckily, we got to ride an ambulance bus and I only had a torn neck muscle and the driver was okay. I thought she died, but the bus moved on its own. Too bad the school didn't call my mother, and she found out with a school-wide sent email, and the administrators left us at the hospital all alone.
Not paranormal or involving serial killers like some others, but B17. Brother owns a landscaping business, so I decided to make some money by helping him out. On a job with another worker and my brother, going around the yard using the weed whacker while the worker is about 10 feet away from me on a riding mower. Suddenly I heard the machine make a strange noise and felt something hit my arm hard. Think, oh, it must have been a big rock, and almost start going back to work. Notice the worker that was riding the mower stopped, has a look of sheer terror on his face. Says something about my arm. Look down at my arm. Blood everywhere. Huge gash in my arm. Tendon partially showing. Brother rushes over, bandages it up, leaves everything at the job, and we go straight to the hospital. 13 stitches to seal it up. I later found out that it wasn't a rock that hit my arm, but rather a part of the metal blade underneath the mower itself which broke off. This is the only one I can think of. I consider it a near-death experience because, had my arm been turned even a little bit, it would have definitely gone through a major vein. Not only that, but I feel lucky that it only hit the top of my arm. That thing could have literally gone anywhere. Neck, eye, skull, mouth. You can still vaguely see a line where it was opened up and some tiny dots from a few of the stitches, but overall it's much less noticeable than it was at the start.
I had something similar. I slipped in a hotel shower and broke a soap dish with my hand. The darn thing was hollow. I thought, crap. I hope I don't have to pay for that. Then I looked at my hand, and blood was squirting out of my wrist. Literally squirting, Spider-Man style. In the pictures they took afterward, you can see all the blood that hit the walls. I don't respond much to physical trauma, so I just took care of it as needed and didn't freak out much. I thought I would just need stitches or something. But it turns out several tendons were cut apart, and I needed emergency surgery. A fucking soap dish. If my family hadn't been nearby, I might have died. Frankly, the thought of dying didn't scare me much either. It would have been an easy way to go. I still lack some feeling in half of my hand. Can only type with the other half. But everything's mostly normal now.
Be about 10 years old. Mother leaves my stepfather, who did nothing wrong. We moved to Kansas with the guy she left for, not realizing he had a serious connection. They kiss. I raged. It surprises my mother and she loses control of the car. She stomps on the brakes. Everything went better than expected. Living in Kansas for a few months now. Jackass gets drunk off his ass. Starts abusing my mother. Grabbed the knife out of the drawer. He hears me open the unnecessarily loud drawer and turns around. Lunges at me. Grabs the knife out of my hand and holds it to my neck. Mother gets up and yanks him away. He falls to the side and hits his head on the fridge. He gets knocked unconscious. Mother and I slept in the motel for a few days. We went back home. She files a restraining order. 3 or so weeks pass. She fucks up the restraining order and lets Jackass back in the house. Drunk again. He drags my mother outside into the snow. Beats the hell out of her. Neighbors come out. Jackass stops for a second, realizing he's being watched. Mother runs back inside and locks the door. Dumbass neighbors ignore everything and go back inside. Jackass breaks the glass on the back door, unlocks it, runs after my mother, and has her by the neck at the top of the stairs. I grab a shard of glass and run up the stairs, stab him in the leg as many times as I can. He kicks me back down the stairs. I can't remember anything after that. This abuse went on a bit longer after this. But when I told her he had tried to strangle me one drunken night after he snuck in, we hauled ass out of there. And you're probably thinking, oh well, why didn't you call the cops? I don't trust cops in small towns. They arrested my mother 3 times for breaking the restraining order.
This was actually recent. I was working in my shop doing some work on a car. It is freezing out, so I don't follow my usual ventilation rules. Only one door is open, a standard house-sized door. Finished welding, nothing seems to be wrong, but the room is flooded with CO2. Not filled enough for me to notice, though. I ended up cutting myself fairly seriously across my arm, bleeding heavily. Start to fade out, manage to get arm wrapped up, pass out. At this point, I'm missing a lot of blood, and I'm now on the floor in a room saturated with poisonous gas. The door managed to slam itself closed as well. My falling knocked over a board that closed the door a little more. Luckily, my friend was coming over and arrived a bit later. He noticed I was on the floor and that there was a ton of blood around me, so he called 911. While he was waiting, he kept checking my pulse. Apparently, I kept dying. My heart would stop, and I wouldn't breathe for a solid 30 seconds. Then, my entire body would jump, and I'd start gasping, and my heart would start up again. This happened nearly 15 times. When I was at the hospital, I was told I should have died both from the CO2 concentration and from the blood loss. I had managed to nick an artery, and I had been in the gas for 20 minutes in a closed room. I also nearly died when I was little, like 2 years old. I fell into a pool and couldn't swim. I don't even really know how I managed to get out. All I remember was falling in and scrambling against the walls, and then I kept falling deeper. Then nothing.
Reading this thread makes me realize how often I've nearly died or been at risk and just not thought about it. Be 8 or 9, walking back from a friend's house, guy pulls up alongside me in a white car. Old dude, glasses, mustache, Minecraft uniform. I start running, he speeds up. Activate hyperspeed. Run up my drive, and rather than heading through the front door, I ran into the middle of my back garden and screamed. The guy speeds off. I remember me not being that scared, I was just following what they told me to do at school. I had no concept of what I was trying to prevent. A few years later, 13 coming home from school. Get off the school bus, cross behind it like a dumbass, walk straight in front of a car, roll up the bonnet, smash against the windscreen, land on the edge of a curb. As it was, I was barely hurt, just a broken shoulder and some gravel rash. The only reason for that is my school bag absorbed a lot of the impact, especially on the windscreen. They think if I hadn't been wearing it, I would have gone straight through. Again a few years later, 15. Chronic stomach pain. So bad I only have to do 3 hours a day at school. Diagnosed with a form of IBS, means I will probably die in my early 30s. 2 years of depression, existential crisis, hell, whoops, misdiagnosis. Sorry, LOL. Take these pills for 2 weeks and you'll be cured. I still have depressive episodes. Facing your mortality at 15 is not meant to happen. I still get jealous when people talk about young people feeling invincible. Almost forgot. Be around 11-ish. Sleeping in the living room on the couch. Have been for nearly a year now, because a movie I watched scared me and made me see a face in my bedroom wall. Hear the knock on the door, which has a window and is to the front deck. Wake up and see somebody looking through at me. I mistake it for my Uncle Ken. Get up, let the man inside. Whoa, not my uncle. A drunk-ass guy asking for a blanket. He's shirtless and shoeless. Go to the back of the house to get a blanket. Also grab a big-ass kitchen knife and proceed to hold it behind my back. Guy asks where my parents are as I hand him the blanket. My stepfather is currently stationed in Alaska. I tell him my mother is sleeping. He looks in her room. She wakes up and starts asking me who the fuck it is. She goes rage mode and starts cussing at the drunkard, hands him another blanket, and pushes him out of our house. Call cops. They pick him up out on our front sidewalk. He has the blanket placed over him like a sheet. Next day, the guy is walking along our sidewalk, places the blankets all folded neatly down on the part where it turns into our yard. I let in a drunk guy, didn't get stabbed, and he remembered where he lived and only gave the blankets back.
Sounds like a pretty okay guy to me.
Yeah, my mother and I were surprised. Here's a more recent one. Heading out to a party with my best friend in his truck. Most of our friends are out there, except for this one guy nobody really likes, who has an apparent distaste for my best friend. Guy nobody likes exits the house when we arrive with a goddamn gun. Starts cussing at my best friend, who gets out of the truck with a bat. Guy starts firing at us. I'm frozen in fear. Several bullet holes in the side of the car and the hood. I'm surprised none of us were shot. Best friend proceeds to hit this fucker in the head with the bat, then runs over to the guy's car, knocks his mirrors off, and busts out his rear windshield. Gets back in his truck. We drove to my house. Scared the shit out of me. I thought I was going to die.
School class goes sledding with maths teacher. She leads us up a hill for half an hour. It's so steep we have to crawl up. We're there! Down you go! Points at an insanely steep hill. You see stones coming out of the snow. The edge on the right is sloped off and would send you 20 feet down to the path we took to get up. Other side is sloped off too and leads down to the river. Nope. The teacher goes first, falls down instantly and can grab on. Her sleigh violently flies downhill and gets stuck to 3/4 into snow at the bottom. Get the fuck down there, you little fucks. Okay. The others go. Everyone gets smacked around like crazy. Nobody stays on the sleigh longer than 5 seconds. The asshole teacher still wants me to go. Try to stay on, insane speed. Lose grip, fall around uncontrolled, rolling and disoriented. Get smacked from all sides, suddenly fly through air. Land in icy water and hit river ground. Black out shortly, current drags me. Walk out like a boss. No pain because of shock. Blurry vision, dizzy, cough out water and say, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. I'm good to nobody. After minutes, the other kids reach me with scraped faces, some holding their sides, arms or limping. Look at me shocked. My face was full of blood and my arm was broken 3 times. To my luck, I slid off the hill pretty far down, so it was a low drop. I was in the hospital forever.
B7. Swimming at school. 30 kids in the water. Play how many kids can fit on a float. Float flips. Stuck under. Goggles fall off. Try to push straight up. Everyone is getting back on the float. Manage to open eyes underwater. Swim to a place without loads of kids to surface. And another. B13. Learning to ski on a dry ski slope. A slope made of bristles. Going up the ski lift. The kind that is a rope you grab onto and sit on a seat. The person ahead falls off. I stop to help them up, but now we need to get back down. You can't get on it halfway up. I try to go down carefully, but I end up hurtling down that narrow path, about to crash into the machine at the bottom of the lift. Swerve. End up on concrete, sparks flying off my skis. No control over skis. Crash into a bench. The first time in the swimming pool was really scary, but the ski lift incident, I was just trying to make sure I survived without going into hospital.
B10. Sleeping over at a friend's house. Late at night. Watching TV in the living room. The living room opens up to the backyard. The entire wall behind us is just glass. Suddenly, hairs stand up on the back of my neck, feeling uneasy. Turn around. Holy shit. There's a man in the backyard. He's just standing there staring at us. We stare back at him for a few seconds, not sure what to do. Not taking our eyes off him, we called out for friend's mom. She comes in and sees what's going on, confronts the intruder with her war face on. Guy doesn't really react, just gives nonchalant responses to friend's mom's questions and threats. This goes on for a few minutes. I don't really know what to make of it. Finally, she gives up and just tells him she's calling the cops. Suddenly, he bolts with all the speed of the roadrunner. Friend's mom comes back inside, locks the door, lightheartedly insults the guy, and nothing more is ever said of it. That was a very odd night. I probably should have been more scared than I was, but I don't really remember feeling scared at all aside from the initial, "What the fuck is a man doing in the backyard?" reaction. Considering none of us were murdered that night, and the guy was most likely just an idiot drunk, it doesn't really count as a close call story, but I thought I may as well share.
On my phone, so I can't be arsed green texting. B15, early finish for my year at school. Feels good, man. .jpg. Me and 3 friends got on the train back. Walking home, loitering about like kids do. Turn around and see a guy about 50 years old, stood about 20 meters away, filming us. Carry on walking, faster. He starts to follow us, still filming. Ask him WTF he wants. Tell him to fuck off, etc. He keeps a-comin'. Me and other cowardly friend walking slightly ahead of the other 2 friends. Agree to run when we get round the corner and leave other friends to deal with him. Run.jpg. Eventually stop. Feel bad and go back to help other friends. Guy is still there. Accuses us of throwing rocks at his house. We ran so we looked guilty. Says he's going to teach us a lesson. We all run. We managed to lose him, and for several weeks after he would wave at my friend, who had to walk past his house on his way to school. We recently learned that he's been sent to prison on account of hitting a teen girl with a metal bar because he thought she pushed his bins over.
Here's mine. Home alone because boyfriend is out of town. My brother said he might sleep over when he's done hanging out with his friends, so he doesn't have to drive home to our parents' house, which I'm cool with. Around midnight, playing on my laptop and watching TV, hear noises, like muffled talking and laughing on the front porch. Figure it's him, go to the open door, crack it open, see a bearded guy in a denim shirt and straw hat sitting on one of my porch chairs. He looks up and quickly lunges for the door. I freak out and slam it closed right in time and lock it. He bangs on the door and wiggles the knob, begging me to let him in different voices. Like once he would say, "Sharon, let me in a gruff guy voice. Then he would revert to a little girl-type voice and say, "Please let me in, Mummy, please." I grab my phone to call the cops, call the police. He wanders off before they get there. They find him. He was a psychotic, schizophrenic dude who lived alone, and I guess he'd been drinking that night. Had a hunting knife in his pocket. I think they institutionalized him after that.
Be in elementary school. Field day. Hell yeah. End of field day, got me some Laffy Taffy. Eat that good shit. It gets stuck in my throat. I'm choking. Nobody is doing anything about it. Decided to save myself. Reach into my mouth and grab it and pull it out. Eat it. Lol, you guys, I almost choked on a Laffy Taffy. A few months ago. Eating some chips and salsa. I love that shit. Swallow one of the chips without chewing it enough. Feel it get stuck in my throat horizontally. Oh my god, the pain. Feel like it's just stuck in there. I can't get that shit to move at all. Nobody is home. Go into the bathroom, try to puke. It isn't working. It hurts still. Drink soda, etc. Run up to the computer, trying to see how to get it out via Google. Realize that it probably went down my throat sometime before, even though it still felt like it was there and it hurt a lot. Phew. Continue eating chips and salsa. I love that shit.
Biking along a busy road. I have a really old bike from the 1980s and it has friction derailleurs. The things that change the gears look 'em up. The chain sometimes gets caught and the pedals lock up. It only happens so far when I'm on trails and I am able to coast to a stop and manually reset the chain, merging the traffic to make a right-hand turn. In Singapore, so cars drive like they do in the UK. Middle of road signalling with arms so that cars know I am trying to merge. Going up a small hill. Suddenly clank, clunk pedals, lock up loose. Balance swerve, nearly missing a car. Still middle of the road, now coasting, gradually slowing down. Not sure if I'm going to make it up the hill. Pedals locked in an awkward position and can only get 1 foot out of pedal clips. Nearly at top of the hill, struggling to get foot unclipped. Fall over, cars driving past my head, honking as I try to free my foot from under the bike. Finally, get free. Mad dash to sidewalk. Turn to see truck try to swerve around bike wheels where I was moments ago. I bought a new bike.
Not really paranormal, but near death for sure. Sophomore in college. Only have class at 4 p.m. on this day. Wake up at 7 a.m. with a crazy urge to have a bowel movement. Have said bowel movement. Go back to bed. Dizzy. Repeat this a few times in the next few hours. Call mom. She calls an ambulance. I go to hospital. Very low blood levels. Don't see an actual doctor until the next day. Nobody knows what the fuck is wrong with me. Blood levels keep getting lower, so I get 2 pints of blood transfused. pale as fuck. Dizzy when sitting up in bed. Next day, get endoscopy. Find out I had a bleeding duodenum ulcer. Try sealing it up with a laser while inside of me. Feel better for a day. Thanksgiving Day. The next day, I woke up at 6 a.m. being transported to ICU because blood levels were dangerously low. Doctors on vacation because of Thanksgiving holiday. More blood transfusions. Get another endoscopy the next day. Blood clot from the laser actually holds. Few days later, I finally got released because there was no more blood in my stool. This had to be the worst 10 days of my life. I lost more than half my blood, missed out on finals week of a semester of college. One professor wouldn't excuse me from a presentation I missed, and I got a B in the class because of it. Not to mention, because of low blood levels, I had blood drawn every 4 hours for 10 days straight. I already hated needles before this. Oh, and since this involved digestive tract stomach stuff, no food for 10 days while on Thanksgiving break.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel, as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.